My mother's voice didn't just echo through the cramped, humidity-choked apartment. It detonated, sending invisible shrapnel through the stale air. I stood paralyzed in the entryway, the soles of my shoes still sticky from the grease of the diner floor, my back throbbing in a rhythm that matched my heartbeat. I had just finished a double shift, 16 hours of forcing smiles at rude customers and carrying heavy trays, only to come home to this. She shoved a chaotic sheaf of paper into my chest, overdue notices, final warnings, the red ink screaming in the dim light. She didn't ask me if I was tired. She didn't look at the burns on my arms or the dark circles carving hollows under my eyes. She just stood there, her posture rigid, eyes burning with a resentment that felt misplaced, as if my very existence was the anchor dragging her beneath the waves. I cleared the last 2 utility bills. I whispered, my voice raspy from dehydration. I stared at the papers trembling in my hands. These are new. Then handle the rest, she scoffed, turning her back to me to pour another glass of the cheap boxed wine that had become her constant companion. If you're so educated, so independent, so much better than this life, prove it. Pay your own bills. Something inside me, a tether that had been fraying for a decade, finally snapped. It wasn't a loud break. It was a silent, internal severance. For years, I had been the parent, the provider, the emotional punching bag. I had handed over envelope after envelope of cash, while she played the role of the tragic victim. That night, the guilt that usually suffocated me evaporated, replaced by a cold, crystalline anger. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't cry. I simply walked past her, down the narrow hallway that smelled of dust and neglect, and into my room. I grabbed my battered backpack and began to pack. I took only the essentials, a few changes of clothes, my laptop, and the singular framed photograph of my father and me, a relic from a time before he left, before she'd hardened into the stranger. My hands shook violently, but my mind possessed a clarity I had never known. She followed me, leaning against the doorframe, the wine glass tilting dangerously. "Where do you think you're going? You can't just walk out." I zipped the bag, the sound loud in the sudden silence. "You told me to pay my own bills," I said, my voice dangerously calm, "so I am going to go live my own life." I walked out into the cool night air and didn't look back at the window. A month passed. The silence from her end was heavy, but I filled it with double shifts and the peace of sleeping on my friend Chloe's couch without fear of an argument. Then my phone lit up. Her name danced across the screen. I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the decline button, but a morbid curiosity took over. "Elena!" she screamed the moment the connection opened. She sounded breathless, frantic. "Why is everything dark? The power is gone. What did you do?" I took a slow, deep breath, feeling the weight of the strategy I had enacted the night I left. "I did exactly what you asked," I said. Her silence was deafening. If you have ever been told that you owe your parents your life, that your blood is a contract of servitude, stay with me. Because what happened next wasn't just revenge, it was a reckoning. I was about to make my mother pay for her own life, both financially and emotionally, in a way neither of us would ever forget. To understand the magnitude of that phone call, you have to understand the architecture of our dysfunction. My name is Elena. I'm 22, and money was the god we worshipped and the demon we feared. When my father walked out, he didn't just leave a marriage, he left a vacuum. He left behind a stack of debts and a woman who slowly transmuted her grief into a bludgeon. My mother, Margaret, used to be soft. She used to sing in the kitchen. But after the divorce, she calcified. Every broken appliance, every rejection letter, every hardship became a personal slight, and somehow it became my fault. When I landed my first job at 16, bagging groceries, she confiscated my debit card for safekeeping. "We are a team," she would say, her eyes misty, as she used my minimum wage earnings to buy cigarettes and lottery tickets. By the time I entered college, we meant me. She stopped looking for employment, content to rely on my scholarships, my loans, and my side hustles. If I dared to complain, she would twist the knife. "Do you want us homeless? Your father abandoned us. Are you going to be like him?" So I stayed. I worked until my eyes burned, studied until dawn, and handed over every cent.
Anytime I tried to erect a boundary, she dismantled it with guilt. You think you're better than me because you go to a university? My achievements were treated as insults to her stagnation. The night she told me to pay my own bills, it wasn't about electricity. It was about the years I spent being treated as an ATM with a pulse. I crashed at Chloe's place that first night. Chloe had watched this slow-motion car crash of a relationship for years. We sat in her living room, the streetlights casting long, striped shadows across the floor. "You actually did it," Chloe whispered, handing me a mug of tea. "You should have done this years ago." "I know," I said, staring at my silent phone. "But my name is on everything. The lease, the power, the internet. If she stops paying, the creditors come for me."
Chloe frowned, tilting her head. "Can't you just remove your name?" That simple question was the key. I had spent so long cleaning up her messes, I hadn't realized I could just stop making the mess mine. 3 days later, I returned to the apartment when I knew she would be at her weekly bingo game. I needed the rest of my clothes. That's when I saw it, a thick, menacing envelope on the kitchen table. It had my name on it, not hers, mine. Final notice. My stomach dropped through the floor. I opened it, my fingers trembling. It wasn't the power bill. It was a credit card statement for a card I had never applied for. The balance was thousands of dollars. I stood in that silent, suffocating kitchen, staring at the evidence. This wasn't a struggling mother leaning on her daughter. This was a felony. This was betrayal. I grabbed that envelope and a stack of others I found hidden in a drawer and ran back to Chloe's. We spread the documents across her coffee table like detectives at a murder scene. My name, my social security number, my financial future, all of it was being buried under charges I never made. Clothing boutiques, liquor stores, cash advances. "She opened credit cards in your name?" Chloe asked, her eyes wide with horror. "Elena, this is identity theft." "She's my mother," I whispered, the defense automatic, conditioned. But even as I said it, the words tasted like ash. I remembered the time she waved away mail saying it was junk, the time she made me sign forms without reading them, claiming they were for insurance. "I never realized she was willing to sell my future to keep her present comfortable," I said, my voice breaking. Chloe reached out and squeezed my hand. "You can't cover for her anymore. She isn't just using your money, she is cannibalizing your life." That night, I didn't sleep. I sat with my laptop and pulled my credit report for the first time. Each line was a physical blow. Utility accounts, 3 credit cards, a small personal loan. I documented everything: account numbers, dates, balances. I screenshotted text messages where she guilt-tripped me for cash. I saved voicemails where she screamed and demanded. It felt like treason, but then I remembered the look on her face when she threw those bills at me. The next day, Chloe drove me to a free legal aid clinic. The paralegal, a stern woman with kind eyes, reviewed my documents. "Legally, this is severe," she said, looking over her glasses. "You have options. You can dispute these, file a fraud report, press charges. You don't have to decide on the charges today, but you must protect yourself." "Press charges?" I echoed. "Against my mother?" "Against the person who stole your identity," she corrected. "Biology is not a shield for criminal behavior." I walked out of that office shaking, but lighter. For years, my mother had used family as a weapon. Now, I was disarming her. I went to the bank and closed my compromised accounts. I opened new ones at a different institution. I changed my direct deposit. Then I called the utility companies. "If your name is removed," the representative for the power company warned me, "the remaining occupant is fully responsible. If the balance is unpaid, service will be severed." "I understand," I said, my voice steady. "I will not be making any further payments." "Understood." When I hung up, I realized this wasn't a tantrum. This was me cutting the umbilical cord she had wrapped around my neck to strangle me. I knew the fallout would be nuclear. The bills would come due, and this time she couldn't shovel the debris onto my shoulders. She wanted me to pay my own bills? Fine. It was time for her to pay hers. A few weeks later, my life was beginning to take a shape that felt like my own. I rented a small room, barely a closet, but it was mine. I was slowly disputing the debt. I hadn't spoken to her, ignoring the barrage of texts that swung from "Where are you?" to "You are ungrateful trash." Then came the call about the darkness. "Did you pay the electric bill?"
I asked calmly, picturing her pacing in the dark apartment. Don't start with me, she snapped. You always handled it. The account holder removed herself, I said. Why would you do that? Are you trying to kill me? I didn't do anything to you, I said. I stopped doing things for you. The account is in your name. If you don't pay, they cut it. That is how the world works. You ungrateful child, she hissed, after everything I sacrificed. You didn't sacrifice for me, I cut in. You sacrificed me. You stole my identity. You wrecked my credit. You made me the parent. That's a lie. I'm your mother. I have the copies, Margaret, I said, using her first name. It felt like a slap. The signatures. The statements. I've spoken to a lawyer. This isn't a family squabble anymore. It's fraud. The line went dead silent. You wouldn't, she whispered, her voice trembling. You wouldn't turn on your own blood. You turned on me when you signed my name to those loans. If you tell anyone, she threatened, her voice dropping to a low growl, I will tell the whole family you abandoned me. I will ruin you. Good, I said, because I am done being the secret you hide behind. If you want to involve the family, let's involve them. All of them. I hung up. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. But I was right. She didn't go down quietly. She went to the family.
She told my Aunt Clara that I had stolen money from her and fled. Aunt Clara called me, full of righteous fury. Helena, how could you? Your mother is sitting in the dark because of you. Have you seen the bills? I asked Clara calmly. Have you seen the credit reports? Well, no, but I will bring them, I said, tonight. Invite Mom, invite everyone. That evening, I walked into Aunt Clara's living room with a folder tucked under my arm. My mother was there, wrapped in a blanket, looking frail and victimized. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Sarah, this is enough, Aunt Clara said. Apologize and fix this. I opened the folder and laid the papers out on the coffee table. I owe her the truth, I said. Electric bills in my name, credit card statements, a loan application with her handwriting, signing my name, my credit report. Aunt Clara picked up a sheet, frowning. This is all in your name? Every cent, I said, opened while I was at work or in class. I didn't know they existed until I moved out. My mother shot to her feet. She's lying. She's trying to frame me. You told me to pay my own bills, I said, looking her dead in the eye, while secretly putting yours in my name. That isn't parenting. That is exploitation. Aunt Clara's face went pale. She looked from the papers to her sister. Margaret, is this true? My mother's mask cracked. We are family. Kids help their parents. You wouldn't understand, Clara. Your husband stayed. I did what I had to do. So you decided your daughter was your emergency fund? Clara asked, her voice shaking with a new kind of anger. She went to lawyers, Mom screamed, pointing at me. She went to strangers. Because you stole from me, I yelled back. I filed the fraud report because if I didn't, I would be paying for your lifestyle for the next 20 years. The doorbell rang, cutting the tension like a knife. Who is that? Clara asked. I asked the landlord to come, I said. The landlord, a weary man named Mr. Henderson, stepped in. He looked uncomfortable. Evening. Helena, I just wanted to confirm in person. You are off the lease as of the 1st. The unit is solely under Margaret's name now. He turned to my mother. Margaret, if the outstanding balance isn't paid by the end of the week, we have to proceed with eviction. You've ignored 3 notices. My mother's face drained of color. Eviction? I can't keep a tenant who doesn't pay, especially now that the cosigner has withdrawn. Mom turned to me, horror and fury warring in her eyes. You're throwing me out of my home. No, I said. I just stopped being your shield. Whatever happens now is between you and the bills you created. You will regret this, she whispered, her voice venomous. One day you will need me, and I will remember this. I already regret not doing it sooner, I said. I left that house, and for the first time, I didn't feel the crushing weight of guilt. I felt this strange, terrifying lightness of freedom. The consequences came fast. The family saw the proof. The narrative shifted. My aunt stopped enabling our. My mother spiraled, sending me texts that vacillated between begging and cursing. I blocked her. It felt brutal, but necessary. I went to counseling. I learned that what I had experienced was financial and emotional abuse. I wasn't a bad daughter. I was an escaping hostage. A few weeks later, Aunt Clara called. They posted the notice, she said quietly. She has 30 days. I closed my eyes. I had fantasized about this moment during the worst arguments, but the reality was somber. She's telling everyone you destroyed her, Clara said, but we know the truth now. I'm proud of you, Alina. A week before the eviction, there was a knock at the door of my new room. It was her. She looked smaller, defeated. You blocked me, she said. What do you want? I asked, keeping the screen door latched between us. I want my life back. I want electricity. I want dignity. You had all of that before you used me as a line of credit. I made mistakes, she cried. I panicked after your father left. I did it for us. You did it for you. You grabbed my future to secure your present, and now you want me to fix it again? Are you really going to let them put me on the curb? Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm not letting it happen, I said. I stopped letting you happen to me. I am not paying your rent. I am not fixing this. If you want help, go to the legal aid clinic I went to. Get a job. But I am done being your crutch. She wiped her face, her expression hardening one last time. You'll regret this. You've been saying that my whole life, I said. I don't believe you anymore. The day of the eviction was gray and heavy. I didn't go, but my phone rang. An unknown number, I answered. Hello, Elena. It was her. Her voice was hollow. I'm using the neighbor's phone. They're here. I stayed silent, picturing the movers, the boxes on the sidewalk. Are you happy? She asked. You won. The apartment is gone. I'm homeless. This wasn't about winning, I said, tears pricking my eyes. It was about surviving. I didn't burn your life down, Mom. I just stopped holding up the roof you refused to maintain. Is there any part of you that still loves me? She asked, her voice breaking. The question hit me hard. I leaned against the wall of my room. I do love you, I whispered. That's why this hurts so much.
If I didn't love you, leaving would have been easy. But loving you doesn't mean letting you destroy me. So that's it? I'm done being your victim, I said. If you ever decide to get real help, to take responsibility, I'll be here. But until then, goodbye, Mom. I hope you pay your debts to the people who loved you, she said bitterly, and the line went dead. I stood there, the phone warm in my hand. Across town, the apartment was empty. The power was off. She had told me to pay my own bills. In the end, that is exactly what I did. I paid my own. And for the first time in her life, she was forced to pay hers. Whatever you do, don't let anyone, family or not, set themselves on fire and demand you use your body as a shield. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to make the impossible choice between your family and your sanity, hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. You are not alone, and you are not responsible for the destruction caused by others. Like, comment, and stay tuned for more stories of truth, survival, and justice.